Hello everybody and welcome to the first episode of my SimCity Ultimate City series. This is going to be a single player world where we just focus on one city that doesn't have any external influences on how the city works because there's no other players in the region. And my plan here is to take all of the things that I've learnt recently that I haven't been making videos on and try and make the best city possible with the ultimate layout. And I was planning on doing this in the Simtastic 4 series, however due to some unforeseen problems with my city and the region that I have, I am unable to do this at the moment, so I thought the best way to do this was actually just to go into a single player world, and I think it makes it a little bit easier that way because it seems like all the cities interacting with one another just causes problems with tourism and other things as well. So this is an attempt to do an ultimate city. I've been learning a lot about the game recently. I'd been ill, and on those days I decided to play SimCity all day. I've also been watching Doc M's videos because I noticed that his city had a really large population and only a small area of residential zoned, and then watching his videos I learnt that what you have to do in this game is play to the game's system rather than lay down some roads and build a city that you think's nice. If you want a successful city, you really need to play to the way the game works and the way its strange AI behaves. So that's what we're going to be doing on this one. So I'm going to give you a quick idea of the layout. Now, because I'm starting all over again in a private region and I have a limited budget, it means we have to start off with these cheap roads. And what I was doing before when testing this layout was playing in sandbox mode, so I had a lot of money and I could build loads of roads, which is something I'd like to do to show you what the layout is going to be like overall, but that would heavily eat into my budget. So anyway, let me give you a quick idea of why the layout is going to be like it is. So we're going to have these main roads that go across the middle from one corner to the other. So one's going to go like that, and then one from one side over to the other like that. And they are going to be our main roads for public services. Now that divides the city into 4 different parts. We're going to have 2 residential on either side. We're going to have an industrial area down the bottom or possibly up the top, and then on the opposite side to that we will have an educational area amongst other things as well. And so the reason that we're going to lay it out like that is because we're going to have a ring road that goes like this all the way around the outside through all of the different areas, and it means that the residential people in this area that need to commute to work or go to education will use that ring road to get to those areas, while our crossroads that go through the middle will be completely free of traffic to some extent because it won't provide the quickest route to those areas. So by doing that, we free up those middle roads to put public services on them, like fire brigade, the health, trade routes, things like that. Put a trade port on there, and those services will be able to move around free of traffic. And I've tried it and it works really well. And so now we're going to do this from the ground up, and we're going to do it in a way where you can follow along as well. So first things first, I want to start with our residential area, which is going to be over in this quarter. So we're eventually going to have a road that runs from this corner to the middle and over to the other side, and then this road right here, let me just select that. This road right here is going to eventually be an avenue that goes through the middle of that, and then on either side we're going to have our residential areas. So everyone will move onto this road and then come down here and then move across to go to school, or if they're going to work they go upwards in the opposite direction and then across again. So that is how that is going to work. Now you can see I put down these basic roads. One thing to point out here, the grid size that it gives you by default is incorrect. You can see here that this one plays to the natural grid size, but this one here is slightly bigger, and that's because we want an avenue down the middle here. And if we put an avenue on the grid size that it showed us a moment, we had one going across there, then that would mean that the density of the buildings down here would never upgrade. And so this is where one of those things comes in straight away. We can't zone anything yet because we need it to connect to the highway, which it already has. I don't know what's going on there. But when you zone things in SimCity, one thing you don't want to do is just zone anywhere. So there's all this space here on the outside. If you zone on the sides of these roads, then you're going to cause traffic problems. What you want to do is zone on the same side of the road all the way across so that everyone will walk up and down that street. Otherwise you're going to have some serious traffic issues. But we should actually get on and build something already. It's been very talky so far, so I just want to put another road over here because we need to put in some sewage down here, and this isn't approved because a road isn't connected. So maybe if I resume the game for a moment, then it will connect. Okay, there we go, it has connected. So one of the things you want to do with your city is put in these services before you zone off any areas, and the reason for doing that is because when people move in you want them to have a good impression from day one, and then that will help your city progress quicker. And that is something that I've actually experimented with, I'm not just saying that. So it'll take a moment for this to... no, it won't start because we don't have any workers. So, zoning. I explained about this a moment ago. What we need to do is actually have a few more roads here. I don't know how I place so little. We need an extra grid there. Go down, and then another one from here to here. So just drag that road across first. There we go, all good. And so what we want to do is place a commercial zone in the middle, and then have a residential on either side. And then up the top we are going to put our commercial area just there. We're going to have a slightly smaller one because we don't really have the room at the moment, so we can change that over time. So we'll have a little bit of commercial there. Now when people move in, and actually let's just bring that back up. When people move in here, they're going to be living in these areas, and when they go shopping they're simply going to walk across to the shopping area in the middle. So all the people that live on the bottom will walk to the shops here, and same for the people at the top, they're going to walk to that small shopping area there. Now this is what I was talking about a moment ago. If I started zoning on this side of the road or down here, or see this free bit of space over here, if I zoned on there, then we would give ourselves some big traffic problems, and it's just the way the game works. It's got some strange AI mechanics, and if you zone in odd places then those people will start driving around everywhere and causing you tons of traffic problems, which is not what we want. So in the long run this is going to work out really well. And then we're going to have an avenue in the middle, and when we zone like with the same grid style that we have here on the other side, we're going to put the houses on the opposite side, so they will be like up here, if you imagine there's another little box for houses. But at this point it's going to take a while for people to move in, and I think it's actually very important that we start off at a steady pace and we don't progress too quickly by zoning out large areas. So there'll probably be a lot of cutting in this series and me sort of fast forwarding things because of the nature of how we're going to do this. But at the moment we're losing money. Hopefully enough people will come in to cover these services right here, and one of the first things we need to do is put in some education. And you don't have any power. So everything I said a moment ago about putting in those services, of course you need workers to do that. So what it might have been a good idea to do was to put the power in first and just get a couple of people living over here to go and work there. But the difference it will make won't be that huge, so we don't have to worry about that too much. But the idea is that we want these people to move in and be happy from day one, so that they progress quicker towards increasing their density. Now this is good. All the residential people here have started out on orange, and usually they start out on red, but this is going to be a very, very important part of our city. We need to get everyone to progress to green as quickly as possible, and one of the reasons why is because density is going to be hugely important. Now in my previous attempts at this game I've been focusing on land value to increase the density, and that is not how this game works. We actually want to divide up the city into different land value areas, so this one's going to be a low value. However, we're going to work on increasing the density so we can have a large population of people living down here. So at this point we are now slightly profitable, which is okay. We don't have any control for taxes. We can build a town hall, and I'm not sure where I want to build that, and now that I think about it, the nicest place to build it would be right here, and I put these in the way, which is just typical. So we can't move those, unfortunately. However, in the future this will probably get moved when we have more roads, because that was not the original place I intended to put them. So there is going to be a road that goes behind this, part of our ring road. Let's see if we can bring that across. So that's our ring road, and if we built it out to there we could possibly put the government building on it. Let's have a look. I wonder if we can even connect that. Okay, so let's put that going across like there. This is only going to be temporary anyway. And yay, we can put it right there in the middle. That's going to look good. Okay, cool. So we have that in place now, and that means that we can raise taxes. We're going to raise that... Actually, I'm not sure that's a good idea. So one thing we should do is look at one of these maps. I forget which one it is. And these are very important, by the way. Want to look at the residential. So look at the amount of money they have compared to their happiness. Actually, everyone in the city has a fair amount of money, so we're going to take that away from them by raising the taxes. And we're only going to do this for a short amount of time. As soon as the money starts going down, we've got to be very careful because everyone needs to have jobs in the city. And so if we go in here, we can look, we have 17 people unemployed at the moment, and that is obviously not good at all. Although it's not going to make a huge difference, but what we really want to do next is focus on education. So if we look at this map here, crime, we have no criminals in our city yet, and that is the way we want to keep it. One of the ways we can do that is by what I said a moment ago, going into education. And I can't believe I built that there. I really wish I'd have thought about that a little bit more before I started placing all of this down. So we want to continue that road going across. Okay, that has already snapped to it. That's cool. So that's just temporary, obviously. We'll remove that in the future. And it makes our city look really messy in the beginning. Okay, so this is going to be like a little extra road here at the bottom, and then this is part of our ring road. So on this is where we want to place education. And we're just going to put it over on this side for now. So let's build our first school. Right there we go. Now we're making -300 an hour. We've got to be very careful now. We need to probably zone a little more residential areas. But if we go in here and look at the bus stop, we want to put the bus stops on a particular side of the road, and that is the side that the houses are on. Now you want to place one for each little area, but because we're going to be a bit short of money, we are just going to place one right there. So it slightly covers this area. One over here, so now most of this residential area at the top is covered, and then two down the bottom. So we're going to put this one in the middle of the block, that one over there, and then that should cover everyone in that region there. And this is going to be very important because if we can reduce traffic and the buses can get in there, and we don't have to worry about traffic in the beginning, then everyone is going to be educated, and that is something we have to keep our eye on in the beginning. And we are really cutting this close, you know, because all of this plays to this high density idea, that we don't zone large areas but we increase the density, and it makes it very difficult in the beginning. You have to really cut it close with your money to get this density increased. So we should have a look at how that's progressing. People have pushed into the yellows, and it's going to be a while before they get to the green. We also need to make some money as well, because we need to upgrade all of the roads for the density increase to happen. So some people are going to work in the town hall by the looks of it, and now some people are going to school. And so we have no unemployed people now because we have people working in the school, which is awesome. But we are still losing money per hour, which is not good. So I think my instinct is not to zone too much more at the moment, but we do need the money. So we're going to have to put an extra zone in over here, and that's the wrong density of road right there. There we go. And so, things may look like they're not going too well in the beginning, but trust me, in the long run this is going to work really well. Played with this layout many times. I got it up to a population of 1,600, and I'd only zoned about a quarter of the city. So I'm confident with this. If we get this beginning bit done right, then we are going to go all the way and get like 300,000 people at least in this city. Okay, so I put in those extra houses along the end here, and we now have 17 people unemployed again. And so what we're going to have to do is build a temporary industrial area. Now I do want it to be temporary, so we're just going to put it down the bottom here. We're going to have just a couple of units along here, and it is really going to take us quite some time actually to become profitable and really start expanding the city. And most of that is going to revolve around the density of this area here. So we kind of need to plod along, just making steady progress, keeping on top of everything. And if we have a look at our education, no one is being educated at the moment. I don't know what's going on there. Maybe we need to wait until the next day. It is night time at the moment, or about to be, but we have no criminals, which is great, because once you have some criminals, then you have to buy a police station to get rid of them. So it's very important that we get the education system working from the beginning, so we don't have to fork out for police. So happiness is good in general around the city, apart from this shop right here. It might be a good idea to remove that and replace it with residential. and the density is not really improving much. That's pretty normal at the moment. So now we have some of these buildings, and they are going to pay some good tax money as well, which is important. In fact, we should probably zone a little bit more. Now they're going to run out of workers, however while they're there they will be paying taxes, which is important. So let's get an extra 2 buildings in there, and then that should help with the tax money. And at the moment, yeah, it's just a case of playing it out really until we get to the point where we can increase the density. And when that happens, what I'll probably do is take out a loan to afford all of the road upgrades, because we are playing it ever so close at the moment. Okay, I was just looking at the residential map. Still, they have a lot of money, so I think we can afford to raise the taxes again. 11% is quite high. However, that now puts us in the positive, which is very important to be in. Been in the negative for a while there, and you know what, it's the education. Look how much it costs. We could also shut down our government building actually, now that I think about it. That will make some people go over to these buildings instead for work, and that costs us 200 less per hour. That is very important actually. That is going to make a big difference in the beginning here. So let's have a look through our maps again. In fact, school hasn't started yet, so in a second, well not in a second, but in a moment, a couple of minutes, school is going to start. So what we should do is actually watch the buses come out and pick everyone up. Is that happening right now? Yep, there they go. There go the buses. So you can see all the uneducated people in the city, and this is what we're going to be doing a lot in this city, you know, keeping our eye on these data maps and analysing everything and making sure our city is working correctly. So let's say we have a problem at some point and traffic gets really bad in an area and our school buses can't get out. If we don't keep on top of this and see that everyone who is not enrolled is being picked up to go to school, then criminals will start to emerge. So we're going to be doing a lot of this, and you can see here that there's a couple of people still in their houses, and now they're all waiting at bus stops, which is good. So this guy's going to go around and get them, and now everyone in our city is going to be educated, which is awesome. Okay, time for a little progress update. I've expanded another block in this direction, and I've adjusted the taxes again. I was having a look at the residential map, and that shows us the money as well. Money was starting to get a little bit low for people, so I had to lower the taxes. However, things are still healthy everywhere, and they should be in the beginning really. It's hard to go wrong. You can see all these new people that have moved in are not educated, but everyone else is. And another thing I'm slowly doing is converting this block here into a commercial one, so I've rezoned that. So eventually I'll demolish those buildings, but we need them at the moment. Also, our commercial buildings are doing well as well. You can see there they're making lots of profit, and that is because of the layout. Having them on the same side of the street as the residential one means that people find it really easy to get there. They just walk down the street and there's no problems. So at this point it's a case of waiting it out really. We want that density to get there up to the green, and it looks like that is going to take a fair amount of time. So I'm just going to continue playing in the cheetah speed, and I'll be back with you shortly. Okay, everything is looking good, and this is the way you have to play the game, you know. Micromanagement from the very beginning. You don't want to spend to solve your problems. Unfortunately, it's quite an impulsive thing to do, you know, to just look at the map and things are progressing, but you think, what can I build? Sometimes it's actually best to sit back and watch and do everything in a sort of micromanagement way. And I feel like this city has gotten off to the best start I could have given it. We're now up to 5,000, which doesn't sound like a lot, but at this stage it is a nice amount of money to have, and we got a decent income per hour. I was thinking about expanding the block another way this way, which is something I might do in a moment. However, I was just looking at the stats here, and our density is starting to go green in this region over here, which is a very good sign. So in the next episode I do think we'll be able to increase the density of this area. But until then, I'm just going to be watching the city grow. It's going to be very steady progress in the beginning, but this is going to be a really good layout in the long run, and I think you're really going to enjoy these series. So as always, thank you very much for watching, and I will catch you in the next episode.